Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning, as we get further into our conversations, we're talking about the giant African snail eradication exercise. And this morning, to have that conversation with me, I'm sitting with Mrs. Boucher Koon Koon. Good morning, Mrs. Koon Koon.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us a bit about this giant African snail eradication exercise.
Okay, so the giant African snail eradication exercise is our program under the Division of Food Security. Last August of 2023, we would have engaged a group of persons for the sole purpose of reducing the pest population on the island and working towards eventually eradicating the pests from our space. The eradication exercises are simple. The team would go out from 7 p.m. and they would work at actively collecting live snails and also shells for those who have passed. They collect these snails and then they dispose of them. They also bait the areas in which the snails are found so that snails that were not collected on the night of the activity would consume the bait and then die. They are also engaged in sensitization in the communities. So they go out, pass out flyers, answer questions to persons in the affected zones. So the eradication exercises are focused on reducing the pest population and eventually removing the pests from those spaces because it takes time.
Excellent. And what type of technologies are you guys now implementing to eradicate the snails, and what is the world using at this time?
Okay, so in terms of technology, this particular pest, because of its relatively nocturnal behavior and its prolific, it's able to multiply so quickly, we have had to implement an integrated approach. Integrated approach meaning that we use the chemical method, which is the use of the bait that draws them out, they'll consume it and they die. And then the manual method, although laborious, is very effective at reducing the population. So we combine all methods. Additionally, general cultural practices such as keeping the areas clean, free of weeds, overgrowth, rubbish and debris, all of those combined in an IPM program help to reduce this pest. So in terms of technology, there's nothing specific. You have to use all of these methods that I mentioned before to reduce the pest.
Excellent. And we know that with where the world is going right now, there are a lot of biochemical solutions to these type of problems. Sometimes they would maybe even create new species that tend to kill out the existing species, which oftentimes has probably a negative impact on the environment. But what do you know about the type of new biochemical technologies that might be used in the area?
So in terms of biological methods for this particular pest, you would think of its natural enemies. So there are certain species of birds, crabs, etc. that are known to prey on the snail. However, in the natural environment, because there are multiple sources of food, we cannot depend solely on the biological, the organisms in the environment to suppress the pest at the rate that we need it to be done. Yes, so that is why we have to intervene. Otherwise, it would be easy to say, let's leave it to the storks or the birds and the crabs. But because this is an introduced pest, there aren't that many of those naturally occurring predators of this pest. And also because they multiply so rapidly, we have to intervene to reduce the population.
Excellent. And what is the timeline within which you guys will be having this exercise?
So the eradication team works Monday to Friday, every single evening from 7 p.m. They work in multiple different spaces. They are scheduled for the week, and that schedule can be found on the division's Facebook page every Monday.
Excellent. And I see here that on Monday the 20th, you guys were in Pump Mill.
That's right.
And you have a schedule here for those of you who have not seen it. It is up on the screen. We have a schedule, so they may be in your area.
That's right.
Pretty soon. What do you want to inform the public when they see these pests? How do they treat it on an individual level?
Okay, so once you encounter the giant African snail or a snail that looks suspicious, that is deep reddish brown with those creamy yellow longitudinal stripes, you want to call or WhatsApp the hotline. That is 482-7528. Again, 482-7528. You can send an image via WhatsApp and the location. We will verify that that is in fact the pest, and then the response team will come out to your site to ascertain the severity of the infestation and to start the process of the eradication in that space. What we want to emphasize is that it's not a matter of the division alone doing the job. The entire population needs to be on the lookout for the snail, report early, and also participate in the eradication exercises.
Excellent. Do you think that you guys have sufficient tools to eradicate the snail on the scale that they are in existence in Tobago?
Sufficient tools. The only thing we're missing right now is public buy-in and participation. The division has put out a very dedicated team who's out there every night. Once the public starts to participate, we will be able to reduce the pest population.
Okay, and what type of advice do you have for educating the younger population on this snail? Like the kids, for example, because they might see it at their school or at their home and see it as being something to play with.
Yes.
So how do we go about educating the kids?
So once you see that deep reddish brown and those cream longitudinal stripes, you should never handle it with your bare hands, because as you know, we have the concern of the spread of meningitis, okay, if you handle the snails improperly. Now, should the child see a snail, because children are inquisitive, they are very tech savvy and they know what to do. They inform their parents, they alert a teacher or any adult in the area that they've seen a pest that they're concerned about, and they contact the hotline and we'll be able to respond in quick time. What I want to emphasize is that oftentimes people see the snails and they pay no attention to it because it's not affecting them. They might see one, they might see two, and they turn a blind eye towards it. Only when the population starts to spike and they start crawling all over their yard, eating all their crops and their ornamentals, and they start coming into their property, then they call the hotline. By that time, a population has already been established, and it takes a longer time for us to be able to reduce that population to the desirable level and then eventually get rid of them. What needs to be done, anytime you see the snail, even if it's just one, you should contact the division via that hotline, 482-7528.
Excellent. And I want to go back a little bit to education and the schools. So have you guys been working with the schools for them to create educational campaigns on the snails? Because I remember when I was in primary school, these are the things that we would have probably lined up and played with them, not knowing exactly what species of snail it is. So how do we even begin the conversation with kids that there are potentially poisonous snails?
That's right. So again, I want to emphasize the snails are not poisonous. However, they are a vector of a parasite that can cause meningitis. And you're correct, we should educate the young people. Through our 4-H department, we have distributed all the posters and flyers to all the schools, and we've actively been engaging the Division of Education in rolling out a program for school education. So we believe by September, we should be able to hit the road with getting the younger portion of the population informed and more involved in citing the pest and reporting.
Excellent. And before we close off this morning, is there anything that you want to tell the people of Tobago?
Yes, I want to tell the people of Tobago that you should not be afraid to join the fight to eradicate the giant African snail. All you need to do is cover your hands. Make sure you wear closed-toe footwear if you are in an infested zone. Check the schedule every Monday. And if our team is working in an area that's close to you, feel free to contact the hotline and join the team. Every person in an infested zone can help to reduce the pest population. Join in the fight. Contact the Plant Protection Hotline 482-7528 and get involved. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. And that is the end of our conversations for this morning. We want to thank you so much for coming on and informing the people of Tobago about the giant African snail, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting and making Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. And again, we want to say special thank you to the Honorable Chief Secretary Farley Augustine for his earlier interview. Again, thank you, guys, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.
New morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise.